Hi guys, Ann here, and today we have another get ready with me using the Hip Dot palette. This is the Zion palette. I love this so much. It's how I created this eye look. And I also have a story time that I want to share with you. It's very positive and inspirational, and it caused me to tear up a few times. And I really think that you'll like this story. It teaches you never judge a book by its cover. So I hope that you continue watching it. I think you'll enjoy it, so just stay tuned. Alright, in today's video, I asked on my community post, is there any subscription box makeup that you want me to try on? If you don't know, I do have a main channel called Just Ann, and over there I just do subscription box unboxings, mystery box unboxings, things like that. And then over here, I like to try on that makeup and then talk, because I'm a talker. So in the community tab, one of you guys asked me to use the Hip Dot palette, the Zion palette, and I'm like, I don't know if I ever used this. If I did, it was probably only one time. So I'm like, yes I can. So this has a nice mirror, and that's what she looks like. Now I remember swatching some shades when I got this. I think I got this like in either a BoxyCharm or BoxyCharm pop-up, or maybe even an Ipsy. I don't remember. But I definitely got this in a subscription box. So I'm just going to start right off. The only thing I have done per usual is my eyebrows. I do have my skincare on. I have eye primer, and then I set it. And then on my lips, I have this puppy right here. It's from It's from Seraphine Botanicals. I got this in a Ipsy. And I also want to thank you guys, because I've been telling you that my favorite is by Tarte. Is this Maracuja Juicy Lip in the shade Rose that I'm all out of. And a few of you told me that Ulta had it on sale for $15. So I did pick up another one. I picked up the Rose shade, which is my favorite, and then I think Buff. I want to try that out. So thank you guys so much. It's actually already shipped. Anywho, that's what's on my lips right now. So we're just going to jump right in, and I cannot wait to share this story. I did ask this couple if I have permission to share it, and they said absolutely. And then one day in August, I'm going to have them on my channel so they can share their own story as well and hear it from their side. Okay, I'm just going to go in with this first shade right here and kind of like, you know, put it on my, like I make a transition, and I do have one of these thingamajiggies, you know. Okay, I always say this, and I cannot multitask, so you need to work and talk. Okay, so where do I begin? About 3 years ago, maybe even longer, it's like when I first did my channel, I don't even think I had my channel, maybe 6 months to a year. So going on 4 years ago, I remember this is when tags were really popular, and I was doing like this question tag. And one of the questions were like, would you give money to a homeless person or something to that nature? I cannot remember exactly how that went. And I remember I answered it, and I was like, well, I would just go get them food. I wouldn't give them money. I would actually go get them something to eat or whatever they needed. And I explained how, because before, when I gave money to a homeless person, they didn't notice I was watching, they went right to the liquor store. And I remember there was this comment, and this person was subscribed to me since almost the beginning of my channel. And I remember she says, you know, I have to unsubscribe from you. When I was younger, my family was homeless, and it was people like you that judged, and we really needed money, and not everybody who's homeless is like that, and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, and you know, as long as you're giving them money and you know what you're giving them money for, if they do it wrong, then that's their problem, you know, however it was. And I sat there and I thought about that comment. I'm going to go in with this shade right here. I can't read what it says, but it's this one right here, and kind of deepen it up. And I really thought about it all night, and it kind of like upset me. Not the fact that she unsubscribed, because everybody has that right to unsubscribe, right? That wasn't the problem. I mean, yeah, it kind of hurt my feelings because she's been with me for a while, and I thought, you know, I just answered the question honestly and stuff. But it really, really made me think for, oh my God, I almost dropped this palette. I just made a mess. Hold the phone. All right, I had to clean that up. This story, because I know the ending, it's making me like emotional, so it's like I'm kind of fidgety. So if I'm all over the place, please excuse me. I never really shared this story in depth with anybody before, not even my husband. So this is the first time, but oh my God, okay, let me just keep going. And so, like I was saying, that comment really had me thinking for, oh God, a few days. And I kept thinking, is she right? Am I too judgy? Like, she's right. If I did give money to a homeless person, as long as I did it and I knew the reason why I did it, however they decide to use that money, that's when, it's kind of like when you give something to somebody. Like one time I got a brand new bed, and my old bed that I only had for about a year, I was in a car accident and I have a lower back injury, right? So I had to, well, I didn't have to, but I wanted to get like a different type of bed. So when I got my first bed, it was really hurting my back a lot more. And so when I got my new bed, I remember I was still living in the projects, and there was this girl, she was a single mother of like 6 kids. And she didn't have a bed. All her kids had a bed, but she was one of those mothers, she sacrificed, you know, for her children. And she was actually sleeping on an air bed. And so I said, do you want my bed? I didn't sell it to her. I gave it to her. I had the bed for not even a year. Like, the mattress looked perfect. Like, you couldn't even tell. It looked like a brand new bed. And I remember giving her the bed. She had her brother come over there, get the bed for her, bring it to her apartment, whatever. Well, maybe about maybe 6 months later, I go over there just to say hi to her, whatever. And she has me go back in her bedroom because she had just got back from the laundromat. She was folding clothes. And there was no sheets on the bed because she had washed them. And the bed was like so dirty, like on the sides of the mattress, like on the top. You can tell like the kids or maybe dirty feet, or I don't know. But it was like dirty, right? And I was so mad because that bed was like well over between $2,000 and $3,000 that I gave her for free. And it was like, I had that bed for almost a year and it looked brand new. You didn't even have it for 6 months and it looked like you had it for 10 years. I don't know. And I was mad. And then I had to think like, Ann, you gave her that bed? So therefore, however she does with that bed, that's not my business anymore. I can't get upset, even though I did, because I thought, my God, that bed was so expensive. But it still wasn't my place. Whatever she decided to do, that's what you do when you give something to somebody. And so anyway, that's how I have to think. Like, this girl was right, you know. If I shouldn't judge and think everybody's like that. So that was probably the best criticism that I ever got, because this is what, when you understand the story, why my thinking was when I seen what I'm about to tell you. Get to the point, Ann. So I was going, I don't know, to Wawa or something like that. If you don't know, in New Jersey, there's a lot of these Wawas, and it has a gas station and then also like a little convenience store where you can get cigarettes if you smoke cigarettes. You can get subs made, you can get milk, you know, stuff like that. It's like a little convenience store with a gas station. Okay, I'm going to go in with this color right here. I'm not going to go like overboard because I have a doctor's appointment today, you know, so I'm just going to make it like look more natural, like natural to me. Anywho, so I was on my way back home and I seen this couple. Well, it was a guy and a girl, and they had a dog, and they were kind of like on the side of the road but wasn't. Now, they didn't have a sign like I need money, anything like that, but you can tell like something was wrong, you know. So I pull over and I said, are you guys okay? And they were like, yeah, we're okay. And the dog was German Shepherd mixed, you know, but so a bigger sized dog, but so nice and well behaved. Now, the dog didn't look sickly where you could see his ribs or anything, but it was kind of on the thinner side, right? And you can definitely tell that this couple was homeless. You could definitely tell. So I was like, are you sure? And they were like, yeah. I was like, are you thirsty? Are you hungry? So the girl says to me, well, can you just get my dog something to eat? And I said, well, when was the last time did your dog eat? And she said 2 days ago. Well, that day would have been the second day. And they said what they usually do is anytime somebody gives them food, they just give it to their dog because they were thinner than the dog. Now, this was like going to fall. So it was like in the 70s maybe, like like 74, 75. But at night is when it went like to the 60s. Got a little colder, but wasn't too cold. At least for New Jersey, you know. So I was like, yeah. I was like, where are you guys going to be? And they said, we'll be right here. So I go to Walmart and I get like a 20-pound or 30-pound, I'm not sure. Not like a humongous dog food, but like a pretty still good size bag of dog food. I get like, not real expensive stuff. Like I didn't get like I got them a water bowl and a dog bowl, like a food bowl, but like I said, it's more like plasticky stuff. I got them a case of water, and I also got like a couple gallons of water, and then little things to like eat. I got some paper plates, it came to about $150, right? And now they didn't ask for all that; they just asked for the dog. But what did was what touched me was they were more concerned about their dog eating than them. And like I said, yeah, you can see, you can see that the dog was taken care of. Maybe not like how it should, but like you didn't see its ribs and all that kind of stuff, And the dog didn't look sick; was still a little hyper and playful, And I don't know what it is; it just really touched me. So I wanted to get them some stuff, so I did. So I came back, and the guy, he immediately grabs everything, so I don't have to like carry anything. And they both had like tears in their eyes, and they just kept thanking me and thanking me and thanking me. So immediately I didn't even think like how they gonna open, like they don't have a knife or anything. So the guy was like using his teeth. It made me feel so bad. And then I seen he had like a little saw or something to open it. I'll get to that in a minute about the tools. And immediately gave the dog something to eat, fresh water, Oh, and I'm sorry, I also stopped at McDonald's and got both of them something to eat as well. And like, I didn't know what to get them, so I got them like some double cheeseburgers, and I said don't put any ketchup or anything on because I didn't know if they liked it. I just got like the packets for them. I didn't show them that first, and then they got that stuff, and I was like, and then when a dog was eating, I gave them their food, and they were just like, thank you, why are you being so nice, like what, and I said, I just wanted to do something nice for you. And then I don't always keep a lot of cash, because I always have like cards, so I had like $22 or $23 in cash, and I gave that to them. I said, here, and they just kept thanking me. I just can't even tell you. I asked them, like, where are you guys staying at? Like, because if it rained or anything like that. And he showed me, like, he built, like, it wasn't like wood. I'm not sure what it was, but it's something that they can go into, I'm sure, like, if we had 40 miles an hour wind, it wouldn't be good. But it was something they can go into at night or if it rained, And he had this, like, rigged, like, this bed for this dog, of like leaves and all this kind of stuff, and then like something on top of it, like it looked like he cut up a sheet or something over the I don't know. It was like they were doing the best that they could, right? So I left. I was probably with them for about an hour. I asked them like, well, what happened? And, like, why are you homeless? I didn't want to get too into their business. And they were Spanish, and they knew English, but they didn't know English that well, you can tell. What the guy used to do is he just like built stuff or did lawn, but he couldn't find work. Work was slow, and then they couldn't pay their bills. They never had any kids. And I asked them, I said, why didn't you go to a shelter? And they said, because they had their dog and they didn't want to get rid of their dog, And I said, well, don't you think it would be better for the dog, if you did give, because we have no kill shelters, The only way they euthanize the dog, if the dog's very, very old, if the dog's aggressive, it's very sickly, like if it's going to cost too much money to, something like that. But other than that, they don't euthanize the dogs, And I said, well, wouldn't it be better for the dog, And I guess because everything they went through, I guess it was just that connection, it's kind of like, I guess if they got rid of the dog, what would they do to themselves? They were so depressed. I don't know. I just don't know how to explain it. And it was my first time meeting them. I didn't want to go too hard. And it really wasn't my business, I'm just going to keep deepening it up just to use as many shades as I can just to see how it works. Because some palettes, it starts looking muddy, And I just want to see, like, can you build these shades up? Oh, that's a really pretty shade. It's called Grounded. That's really pretty. So anywho, I went home and I kept thinking about this family for like days, probably about 3 or 4 days. I could not get them off of my mind. So I was making food. Now, anytime I cooked, and I cooked almost every day, I would always go get an extra plate and give to my mom and grandma, right? So I didn't tell my husband or my kids or anything about, you know, this couple. And I made some extra food. I made like a pot of rice, white rice, and I had like soy sauce, like a unopened soy sauce thing. And I was making chicken, fried chicken. So I brought some fried chicken and like a thing of rice, you know? And like my husband or nobody asked me, where are you going? Because they were so used to me just dropping food off of my mom and grandma. That's what they just assumed, right? So anyway, but it was for them. And then I also went to the store and got the dog like some treats, right? I just could not get this family off my mind. I never felt like that before. So I go there, and there they were, you know, with the dog and playing. And I also got the dog like a ball, like some tennis balls. I think it came like in a set of 3, you know? And they were like, oh my God, thank you so much, you know? And I didn't ask them, like, how have you guys been eating? Because it was like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 days. I'm not sure, like less than a week, but more than like 3 days. And I just kept thinking, how are they eating? Are they eating? Like, I know the dog's okay because I bought like a pretty decent sized bag. But like I said, I just couldn't get them off of my mind. And I didn't ask them. Like, I'm repeating myself. I'm going to go into this shade right here. Anywho, so I didn't even ask. I just like brought them some food, and I had like plastic forks and spoons from the house. Like, I brought them, and I had already brought paper plates for them at Walmart, so I knew they had that. And they still had all their stuff there, so it wasn't like they were selling anything, or they weren't drinking. They didn't have like cigarettes. Like, I don't know. Not that it's any of my business, but like they were legitimate. You know, they just fell on hard times. So again, I'm talking to him like, well, what do you think about the shelter? What can I do? You know, because even though it was going into fall, it was going to be winter in another month or so, and I just worried about them, you know, especially the dog. Because, you know, we have choices what we want to do, but kids and animals, they don't have that choice, you know. They didn't ask to be put outside, you know, like be homeless, you know. And, but I didn't want to be too, like, pushy or anything like that. And they were like, you know, well, they don't know. And I said, well, how long have you guys been homeless? And I think they said for, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. It wasn't, like, a whole long time, but that was long enough, at least for me. You know, like, 3 or 4 months to me would seem like forever, you know? I noticed the guy had like some cash over, and he comes over and he calls me over, and he's giving me like the $22 back, and he was like, I'm so glad you came back, I was hoping you would come back. And he goes, I'm like, what is that? And what he does is he does side work, like he knocks on people's door, asks them if they need their grass cut. He doesn't have a lawnmower, but one of those push mower things. He has like a rake, you know, if they need anything done or anything built and stuff. So he does like side work, and he had made enough money to pay me back. And I go, no, you keep it. I just put in the back of my head like, wow, he was willing to pay me back, and I didn't even ask him for it or anything like that. But they were so grateful and appreciative that I helped them, that they wanted to pay me back. Like, they didn't want anything for nothing, if that makes sense. So, like I said, I told them to keep it, and, you know, or whatever, and I would check on them every so often and make sure that they were okay. And I did this for a while. Every few days, I would go and bring them food and stuff like that, you know. I couldn't do it every day, but I tried to do as much as I could. Well, it started to get really cold now. Now it's like going on the months of like October, where it's very cold. And in past time, like I would go to the store and get them blankets, and for the dog, I got the dog bed and stuff like that. I got them umbrellas, you know. Now, like I said, they did have like some kind of thing built where, you know, if it rained or something like that, they go inside. But they were on like private property, like, you know, it looked like it was kind of like a, I don't know, vacant spot, but it wasn't theirs. So I always thought, what if somebody called the cops or they had to leave, you know? I don't know. I just kept thinking about them. So like I said, the next time when I went there, it was getting closer to October, you know? It was like kind of, I guess, the end of September. And the girl, you know, she was very sad. And I said, well, what's wrong? And she just said, next time you come, it's gonna make me emotional. She goes, do you think you can take me to drop their dog off? The dog's name was Nellie. I'll never forget that. It's such a cute name. To drop Nellie off at the SPCA. And she was so upset. And she goes, you know, it's getting cold out. It's not fair to the dog. And, you know, we'll be okay, but, you know, with the dog. And so I said, yeah, you know, next time I come, we'll take the dog, you know. I'm going to go in this shade. It's called Virgin. There's not a lot of shimmer shades. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 shimmer shades. The rest are mattes. So I'm just going to go in there and put on my eyelid. That's pretty. Let's see. Oh, wow. Wow. This is actually more pigmented than the Norvina palette. My last video, I will link it down below. I used the Norvina palettes we got from our BoxyCharm Premium. The purple and the orange one. So it was the volume 1 and the volume 3. The mattes were extremely pigmented, but the shimmers weren't like blinding. I was surprised for a $60 palette. And this is so much better than that. Wow, this is a really good palette. Like, this is so pretty. Even the mattes blend really nice. I can't get over how pretty that is. Now I'm just gonna take this and like blend it in. Wow. So now I'm going to go into the deepest shade. It's like a brown. It's called Vibration. I'm just going to deepen that up a little bit. All right, so a few days later, I go back over there and I come and now they didn't have phones. I couldn't text them, anything like that. They never knew when I was coming. But every time I came, they were always both there, you know. And but I always came more like towards the nighttime. But I knew with the SPCA they closed, so they knew I was coming on a Saturday. But I said I would come like like around 11 or so. So I told them that day. So I come and you know, they were sad. Both of them were with me, and we put the dog in the car. So I told them, I said, you know, I don't know if it's going to cost anything to leave the dog here, but whatever it does, I will pay. But before we'd gotten a car, when I got there, I said, listen, I will do this and take you, but you have to promise me after that you will let me take you to the shelter. They don't know. I had already called the shelter to see if there was availability, you know. I said, you have to do that, you know. And they said yes. You know, that's how much they loved this dog, Nellie. So when I go there, I was like, now, you sure I can take you to the shelter and stuff? You have everything ready? And they were like, yes. So I take the dog, and now this is how, like, God is so good, right? It's a small world. When my kids were younger, I used to have my kids volunteer at the SPCA. It helped them with different programs and stuff, like if you had so many hours of volunteering and stuff like that. Plus, I wanted them to know what it's like just to volunteer and help out and all that, and have something to do. If they kept busy, they couldn't get into trouble, right? So my kids were always either in sports or volunteering. So at that time, my kids weren't volunteering anymore because they really got into their sports, you know, especially my youngest son. He's so into baseball, even to this day. This is really, really pretty. So when I go there, I happened to see one of the ladies that used to, like when my kids went, you know, she kind of, because they were underage, she would, you know, be there with the kids and stuff like that. So I pull her to the side. I'm just going to clean up my eyes. And I explained to them what is happening. I said, listen, this couple here is homeless, and they want to bring their dog here. I said, because they're going to go into a shelter, and the shelter won't allow any animals to come in because it wasn't like it was a therapy dog or anything like that, you know? And I go, how does it work to where, like, you kind of like adopt the dog out, you know? Just so that they can get on their feet. And what they said was, they can't really do that as long as the dog is there. Now, you can pay to kind of like shelter them where you're paying to kind of keep them housed, and then they can't adopt the dog out. But if you're not paying for like shelter, then, you know, that if they're not, there's just no control, you know, of what they do. And I understood that. She goes, but as long as I'm here, you know, I'll keep an eye on the dog and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, you know, I mean, I understand that. So I take this couple, after we drop the dog off, they're all crying and stuff like that. And I was like, listen, I can still, you know, I don't know how the shelter works, if you can leave or whatever, but, you know, I'll take you to see the dog. The dog's going to be fine. And if not, if somebody adopts the dog, I said, you love your animal so much that you are letting this dog go so he can get into a better home, into a house, you know. And I was like, that says a lot about you guys, how much love you have. I said, because selfish people would want to keep their dog for their own mental health, but you're doing it out of love for your dog, you know. And that made him feel a little better, but still, I mean, how much better can you feel? You know, they loved that dog, you know, they had a connection with that dog, and they didn't have any kids, you know. So I guess to them that was their kid, or closest thing to a kid, you know. So anyway, I take him to the shelter. Now, how this shelter works where we live, you either have to work, you have to get a job, and they help you get a job, and you have to pay there's like a percentage for like room and board. Like unless you're like disabled, handicapped, you have a doctor's note saying, you know, if you don't have any of that, then they will help you look for a job, and whatever the case may be. Sometimes if they have the funding, they'll send you to like a hotel room for 10 days. And the reason why they didn't do that before is because they had the dog, right? But what the shelter does do is they help you as well, you know. And now I'm sure if you have kids, underage kids, they get help first. So I don't know, it took about 3 weeks or something like that, and they got, well, the husband found the job first, and he's working, and he's paying his portion, and they're doing really, really well. I mean, really well. I'm dropping things off for them. Like, I'm looking at them like they're my family. Like, I really like them. Me and my daughter would go check on this dog at the SPCA. The dog, I was praying every time I went, the dog's still there, didn't get adopted out. And I would have took the dog in, but I just couldn't at that time. I was taking care of my mom and grandma, and I just couldn't at the time, you know. And it would be better for the dog to get more attention there, you know. So they get on some type of program or something like that that helps them, like it's kind of like the welfare program, you know what I'm saying? And anyway, even prior to them going to a shelter, I'm missing a huge thing. I take them around to subsidized housings to fill out applications. Now, anybody knows those subsidized housing, sometimes you're on the wait list 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, you know, especially for like a 1 bedroom, you know, it takes so long to get into. Well, finally, after a couple of months, they get a call to this one subsidized housing. Okay, now the guy worked, and the girl, I don't remember the reason why, like she didn't work or anything like that. Like I said, one day next month, they're going to be on the video, and they're going to share their own story. So, you know, they'll share exactly if I'm missing anything. And they get into the subsidized housing. Now, subsidized housing, okay, you really can't have a dog unless you have a doctor's note. So they did everything they did. They got it for like kind of like a therapy dog, kind of like not a service dog, but like when you need it for like if you're depressed or anything like that, you know, you have that dog with you. I forget exactly what the name is called, so please excuse me. They get the doctor's note. They're allowed to have their dog back, right? As long as the dog has all their shots, this and that. So when we get the dog back, we paid for shots and all that kind of stuff there. Anyway, we get the dog. We had to pay to get the dog out, right? And they had to have their dog fixed. So I paid for that too, to get the dog fixed. I think it was like all together, like to get the dog fixed and all that, they only charged like $110. It wasn't that much money. So now they're in their own apartment. They have their dog back. The guy's working. He's able to get enough money, like to get his own lawnmower instead of that push lawnmower that's not electric or anything like that. He gets more. I'm also missing this. I did and keep like his tools and all that stuff, like all their personal belongings for them. So I was able to give that back to them. They had all that, and the guy, he has been cutting my lawns for a couple years now. He has always cut my lawn, and that's what he does. He has his own little business now, his own lawn care business, and they are doing so well. like so well. It makes me want to cry, like to see them, like their hope, and when they had to give up their dog, and they love their dog so much, to how they're doing now. I mean, it's like when you always think you're at your worst, you never know what God has in store for you. And because they were trying, and they just weren't like, oh God, I'm so sad, I'm so depressed, and no, they were the ones that wanted to do things for them. They just didn't sit on their ass and say, oh, we're homeless, or hold a sign up and say, feed me. Do you understand what I mean? They worked, and the fact that he was willing to give me that $23 back, he was working to pay me back. I mean, that right there shows you the type of person that they are. You know, when I lived in the project, people are stereotyped and judged because a lot of times, especially when you have kids and a single mom, a lot of people think, oh, they're living in the projects because they want to. That's not true. Let me tell you something, guys. I remember living in the projects and I went to go to college. And I told them, you know, and they said I couldn't go to college because then when you go to college, you get those stipend checks and all that, and that counts as income. And here's where the system gets you, okay? If you make too much money to live in the projects, you may not make enough to live on your own. And that's what messes you up. So it's like I couldn't go to school. I couldn't get a really great job because then I just couldn't afford, because I wasn't getting food, child support. I couldn't afford my own spot at that time, and the bills and stuff like that. You know what I mean? If I made a little bit, I remember I would make like a $10 or maybe $11 too much. I was finally getting child support. Do you know they took my food stamps away because I was making like $11 over, and it was child support? And I'll never forget what my caseworker said. They said, well, stop the child support. And I'm like, yeah, but I need the cash to take care of my kids. I mean, so that's how the system gets you. Now, there are people that live in the projects and they have like a 2021 car, big ass TVs. They are living the life, or they want to have kids to stay in the system. Absolutely, there's people like that. But there's also people that are struggling, that are single mothers, and the fathers don't do shit for them. Or single fathers and the mothers don't help out. Or like these people that just fell on a rough time and they couldn't get help. You know what I mean? And going back to that one comment that I got, if I did not get that comment, I don't know if I would have done as much, you know? Like, if you are ever watching and you know who you are, I don't even know if you watch me anymore, but if you do and you know who you are, I cannot thank you enough for that comment that you did. That has helped me. I don't want to get emotional, but thank you so much, really. It put me back in my place, like, you know, who am I to judge what somebody does when you give somebody money or whatever the case may be. So thank you with all of my heart, you know. All right, I'm going to get off of here, do my like face makeup, and then I'll be right back, finish up the story about how they're making out now and stuff like that. So I'll be right back. All right, I am back. I did my makeup. The only thing I have to do is my eyes and my lips and my mascara. So I don't even know where I was at. Okay. I'm gonna go start with my bottom lash with this, I think it's called Ground It right here. And I always connect right here, you know, where I cleaned up. I'm gonna go into this shade down right here. Then this shade right here. And then I'm going, well, let's just do this right here. And I always use like this detail brush right here, and I'm going to go in with the darkest shade, this brown here, and like I always say, I just go halfway in. If I go all the way in, I notice for my eyes, they look smaller than what they are, so I'll, like I said, I'll just go halfway in. Then I'm taking this Dose of Color and eyeliner, and it's like a deep green, and I'm going to put this on my waterline. And this is where you can play. If you're not used to pop of color, you see how I just did like more, not natural look, but I don't have like greens and blues and all that eyeshadow on. That's where like you can go with blues and put, like I put a green, a darker green, but you could put a bright green, purple, blue on your waterline and brighten it up, especially if you're not used to color. That's how I started out with color. I started very slowly and just started putting color on my waterline, you know what I mean? All right, let me go on with my mascara. I will do my lips, and then I will close out and tell you how the couple is doing today. So let me do that real quick. Alright guys, and I am finished. So this story that I told you means so much to me, and it also taught me a valuable lesson. And what that lesson is, you cannot judge a book by its cover. You cannot stereotype people and think everybody is the same. When I first started my channel and I did that tag, the question tag, I said in there, well, I don't give homeless people money because I don't want them to go spend it like on drugs or alcohol, so I'd rather get the stuff. Even though I thought I was doing a good thing because it wasn't like I just walked past somebody, I still put everybody in in one category. And that was not right, because I have been judged so harsh by living in the projects, having an addiction prior to the, different things, having 3 kids by 3 different men. You hear that and you automatically assume, well, you don't know the story and you don't know me, right? And had I not got that comment, I don't know if I would have, I don't know, that just meant so much to me, right? And I love constructive criticism. I really do. And I'm not saying because of me, this family's doing so much better. No, it's because of them, because they put the work in. You know what I mean? I think God just put me there in the right time. See, God uses us, and He puts us in places at the right time. So I'm not going to say, oh, because I helped them and did this. No. God knew I would do what He wanted me to do, so He put me in that spot, and He knew I needed that family in my life to teach me a lesson. And I truly believe that. Like I said, next month, they had said, well, they actually suggested, well, I asked them if I can talk about them, and they said absolutely, and they're the ones who suggested about making a video, and so I was like, yeah. So let me know down below any comments that you guys want me to ask them. Let me know. I haven't said their names because I don't know if they're comfortable with that. I'll let them know. But yeah, so like I said, let me know down below any questions that you want me to ask them when we can all get together and I can show you their little doggy that I love so much. And yeah, it taught me a great lesson. Also, let me know any stories that you guys want to share down below. Anybody that ever came into your life at the right time that's really taught you a lesson. Let me know. And let me know if you like these type of story times. I have a lot of things I can share with you guys that are inspiring. It's not always going to be negative or story times of my addiction. I have a lot of positive things, Let me know down below. Please like this video. It really does help me out, and it only takes a second. Stay beautiful, stay blessed, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay you. And I will see you in my next video. Bye. My God, every time I tell their story or share their story, it gets me so emotional. God bless them.